Get it, girl. Get it, girl. Here we go. One, two, three. Break it down. Let's do this. Let's
Is that
do
like
this.
there's part of my skull right here is like hot.
That's
Isn't that
weird.
isn't that weird? It's like itchy and hot. Does that mean I'm dying? I hope not.
It's definitely worth the Google.
Hello, hello. You guys hear me?
Hey,
It's
Hey, how's it going, man?
all good. It's all good.
how you doing, man? Uh,
Good, man. Nice to see you what you actually look like.
yeah, I know, right? I've seen you a couple times on YouTube.
Okay.
So
Good stuff.
I had a face to go by, but I guess you haven't had my face to look at, have you?
Not really. I've scrolled through your Instagram and I don't recall seeing any visuals of you. Just a lot of your VHS that you've done
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, he
I don't
always seems to have a mask on too, so
I don't
There you
really
go.
I don't really like this mug too much. So I
We
don't
got a great beard going on for you.
well,
There
I
you go.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I can't grow a beard like that. No way.
no, me
No?
neither.
No,
He's
mine'll get about I don't know, a couple inches, and that's about it.
Well, that's yeah, it sounds about like John right here.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't grow a beard worth of crap, man.
Well, either way, I'm Taylor. This is John.
It's nice to
Nice
meet
to
you,
meet you
man.
guys.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this is Steve, everybody. Steve.
Hello.
So yeah,
Yeah,
we're already recording, so we can clip and cut out anything you want to, so don't worry about that.
It's all good.
we just like to dive in
Um,
more of a convo, you know?
Yeah,
cool.
as soon as you hit that record button, everybody's kind of like, well, like all professional.
I don't care. I'm not professional. I just do my show and have fun chatting with people. That's
Yeah,
how it
man.
works with me.
And
Yeah.
you made a pretty cool fan film. Uh
I did okay with it.
it
I
was
guess
cool,
so. I don't
man.
know.
It was cool, man.
I'm my own worst critic, that's for sure.
I'm just like you, man. I have like imposter syndrome and all that crap, and it's
Well, I don't know if I have that, but I definitely like always know that there's things I wanted differently.
right,
But
right.
I'm a realist, and I'm like a lot of the things I wanted to do were pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
Like we wanted one of the victims to be burned in a like a Holocaust style oven.
Oh
Yeah.
And
wow.
like how the hell are we going to get this? Are we even going to find this oven? And how much would it cost? And how would we get it into this old house and all? So realistically, we couldn't do it. We just knew we couldn't, without, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
We couldn't have pulled that kind of stuff off.
And
But
were those kind of ideas like even pre-writing, like pre-script, or was that in the script and something that you
yeah,
kind
some of
of
them, yeah, like that one was definitely, something I had thought of before I actually wrote the script.
right?
And when we did because we couldn't do that one, I thought I had also at one point thought of, crushing somebody's head in a table vise. So we did that instead. It wasn't in the script originally. So like I'm sure we could find an older table vise, no problem. And we got very lucky. Our props guy, I think it was his parents actually had a really old, big ass table vise. It was the heaviest thing we had. I thought the chainsaw was going to be the heaviest thing on set, but the vice was probably twice as heavy as the chainsaw. You needed two people to carry that thing.
Geez, so it
Yeah.
was like an old
Yeah.
school, like a real one, right?
Oh yeah, it was real. It was definitely everything was real. There was not a
Yeah.
lot of there was not a lot of stuff that was just made, other than like the faces hanging from the dangling from the ceiling and the arms. Those were obviously silicone. Leatherface's masks were silicone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But like there's a clot of hair in that meat grinder with a tooth. The hair and the tooth are real teeth. It's a real human tooth. That was it. That tooth, those girls, and that was the same tooth. The tooth the girls find is the same tooth.
Where
And that
where'd
was
you
the
where'd you come up with that?
um. It was our set designer. She had her tooth pulled like about 2 or 3 weeks before, and she knew that there was a tooth in the script. and she said, "I'm saving this tooth for the movie,"
Oh,
and
dude,
so she did. Yeah,
that's
Cool.
awesome.
U-
That is
used
cool.
it twice.
Yeah, that's hardcore, man.
Do you,
I
do you
love
still
it.
have it? Do you still have the tooth?
I don't. I don't know. I'm sure she probably has it. I could see her keeping it because she pretty much kept the majority of the props and everything after we finished shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
that was
props guy didn't want the props guy didn't want anything to do with the props after we were done shooting. He was going back to Alabama, and he was like, "I ain't taking all these props back with me to Alabama. You guys deal with them." So
yeah,
I
that's
dealt with a lot of.
pertaining to this as well, like with the real chainsaw and everything like that. I mean, obviously this movie's set in like the I think it was 65, I believe.
Yeah.
So like how was that trying to try to make a film and have it be legit to the time period? Was that kind of
Oh,
tough or
oh yeah, it's super tough. Like that should have added. That should have been our budget alone. Like
right,
would be making it that time period. The vehicles, the chainsaw, and the chainsaw was time period accurate, but a few slips happened.
right.
Uh, and most notably, I hear it all the time, the rims on the truck.
The truck,
I
yeah.
hear it all the time. Everybody really, really hates the rims on that truck. And hey, they're not time period accurate. There's other things that aren't time period accurate in the film,
Right.
but it's not. I don't think it's too bad, for an indie film. For an indie film
No.
made for on a five-figure budget,
Yeah.
I think we did pretty damn good considering.
Yeah,
The
that stuff's
vehicles were the
touch.
toughest. The vehicles were definitely the toughest thing because people that own classic cars
They're not gonna lend
don't
those out.
they don't just lend them out.
No.
Well,
We did manage to get a couple people to not lend them out, but were willing to, bring them on a flatbed as long as I paid for gas, all the gasoline. One person I did have to pay an actual fee to, but the rest of them are just gasoline. But we were supposed to have more vehicles in the movie than we did. We were supposed to have 5 total. We ended up with 3, so we had to cheat a little bit, but I think we pulled it off for the most part. I think the most jarring one is when the black lady shows up, and that was we had a car pull up, and it was obviously stock footage.
yeah,
I thought it was very obvious that it was stock footage. It was very kind of patchy the way it looked, the way it came together, because you never see her getting out of the car or anything like that.
right.
Just you hear an engine rumbling, and you see an old car bumper, and then all of a sudden she's there. I
Yeah.
felt like that. I still look at that whole scene. I'm like, oh, it doesn't really work. But if we had a shot of her getting out of a car, even if we just showed the top of a car,
Right.
I kind of wish we could have done that. But that's what happens when you shoot a film in 9 days,
Yeah,
folks.
it's also
9 days.
like it's also that's where the realist stuff comes in, where it's like on a budget and making a film, there's certain things that just aren't gonna line up perfectly. You know what I mean?
You shot this
Definitely not.
you shot this film in 9 days?
9 days.
Wow.
It's
I'm
quick.
still stunned that we pulled it off. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's some there's some scenes where, because of actors availability, so like that black lady was available for 1 day, and and you could tell she's in the same scenes as some characters, but you don't see them together because those characters were only available 1 day. And we tried to kind of mesh the cut together so that they work, but we had some characters that were available both days, so we kind of pasted it that way. But it's still kind of rough looking. It's still
So
kind of rough.
I think you're being your own worst critic, honestly,
Oh,
because
I always am.
I loved it. I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
I want you to break it down for, me and everybody who does watch this, what we're doing and watches this. Tell us how it started, what gave you that idea, what brought you into all this, and just, from there to where you're at now. I want to know the story.
Well, I mean, originally ideas came to me after I saw the remake for Texas Chainsaw Massacre in theaters back in 2003. Um, and it was mostly because there were certain elements of that film that I absolutely loved, but then there was other elements of that film that I absolutely hated. And I felt like, man, if they would have, I just kept saying, man, if they would have done this instead of that, or this instead of that, you could have topped the original even. I actually thought that, there was so many good things about that then, but then, man, there's just, I don't want to get into the things that I dislike too much about it, because I mean, it is a bit subjective.
Right.
But it's you know, I just couldn't help but see things that I would have done differently. And hopefully you can kind of even see that a little bit. You can see little bits of influence from the remake, of the good things from the remake. I would think the things I liked anyways from the remake. But it was missing. I think that what it was missing more than anything else was that level of disturbingness. That disturbing level where there was some sort of reveal about these crazy people that made them so disturbing. And I knew I had to do that with my film. I couldn't rely on cannibalism, even though it's there. The cannibalism aspect is there in my film. It's not the main motivation of the family in the movie.
Yeah.
And they took out the cannibalism in the remake, but I felt like they didn't really replace it with anything. Like, why are these people so demented?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a rebelling against society, and I just thought that was kind of a lame angle, because it's set up for such a disturbing movie at the beginning with all that police footage and John Larroquette's narration and all that stuff,
Yeah.
that I never the rest of the movie didn't quite do it for me. So that's why I brought in the whole saving the family aspect, and that being a massive that being the main motivation really for the family, to keep their family lineage going. And I think it's subtle though. Not everybody picks up on that. I get messages from people every day saying, "Steve, what the heck is that baby crying at the end?" I'm like, what do you think it means? It's a little bit up to interpretation, but that's the idea, is that Allison got captured, and Leatherface knocked her up,
Right.
without actually saying it, but Grandpa said in multiple in that dinner table scene that she's saving the family because she's a strong one. And then earlier in the film you had Rex and Drayton talking, and like, we lost the last one, which implies that the last girl they captured lost the baby or whatever. And he just says, we just need one strong one to make it through, sort of thing. And so it's hard to pick up on, but I mean, if you watch the film multiple times, I think you'll probably pick up on that whole aspect. I even made like a little video that ties all that together, that's on my YouTube channel. But I don't know, I still get messages from people saying, what the hell is that baby crying at the end mean? What is that supposed to mean?
So,
but
what got you into? So, was Leatherface your favorite, or what's the deal with that?
I would say he is, and that's another aspect of the film I really wanted to capture correctly, and again, maybe in too subtle of a way. But Leatherface is a very interesting character. I mean, he wears his faces to take on new personalities. So every time he's wearing a different face, it's like he's a multiple personality type of person.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's really got that dimension to him. Although again, it's not something you see too heavily even in the original. And probably people that saw that movie at first wondered why he always had different faces on. But that's something that a lot of the sequels and remakes, whatever, didn't really touch on much. The fact that he changes faces to take on a new personality. So I did that with my film. But again, the it's so subtle that I think a lot of people don't even realize whose face he's wearing at which moment of the film. But that's an execution thing, and that's that had to do with our low budget. But each face he does wear in our film was a character that you saw in the film at some point.
Okay.
So whether you can make out whose face is who, well,
Right.
that was an execution thing, because we were very rushed on making those faces because I had an SFX artist lined up since 2019, I think, 2019, 2020, since then. And then she bailed on me a month before filming.
Ooh.
I'm not kidding. Nothing was done. I had to get all the life casting of the actors done. So I mean, and this a month before filming, the SFX artist I hired just on the spot. It was like he's like, I think I can do it. He was like,
Man,
this is a lot of work, but I think I can do it. I think I can life cast 3 actors. It was about scheduling the actors in. Like one of them lived way up near Dallas, and he's in San Antonio, so he had to drive all the way up to Dallas to get his life cast. And
man,
yeah,
I would have
it
been
was
a
a
I
lot
would
of
have been
work.
a nervous wreck, dude. That would have been like,
Yeah, it's a
I don't
lot
know
of
how he
work,
pulled it
dude.
off, but again, the detail isn't quite there in the faces like I would want it to be. But
I mean, for what he had, I guess it was, it was
it
okay.
it
So
was. I mean, they're creepy looking faces. I'll say that the faces
Right.
look creepy,
how
but can you
how
tell
many
that
how many different masks were there?
there was 4?
4?
Yeah, he had to do 3 of them, but because I had one made here. I had one made here in Canada. I work with an SFX artist, and we already knew who was going to be the first face. So I had her do a sculpt
Mhm.
on the first face, and that was the actor Michael McGlynn, who was the first guy you see enter the house in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Mm.
And his role is not, I didn't quite get to touch on his role as much as I wanted to, but he's meant to be the owner of the whole property. And you see him carrying a document at the beginning, and that
Yes.
document is supposed to be a power disconnection notice sort of thing, and that's supposed to tie into all the with the power, the guy cutting or rerouting power and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big kind of uh I don't want to say scam, but that something that the Sawyers are pulling, but don't dive too heavily into. And that was mostly due to time. We 9 days, we cut about 10 pages out of the script because of that. But yeah, so he had to make 3 and we made 1 here. So I had 1 already made. And that's
Yeah.
what the one you see that's the one you actually see on the VHS you made for us, Taylor.
Yeah, I was about to say the poster behind you right there.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the one? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one. That's
Yeah.
the one we made here in Canada. All the rest were made in
How
Texas.
many how many were made? Just one?
Or just it was one of each, and then he made
Yeah.
replicas after the fact. He's still making replicas because he's got orders to fulfill from our
Yeah,
Indiegogo campaign.
that's what I was
Right.
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, but
How's
they're
it?
not cheap, man. They're expensive. Latex or silicone's more expensive, but
Mm.
we had a bunch of people order the latex replicas of them, and so he's got the mold still from doing the life cast, so
How
he can
how's
do as many as he wants.
how's the Indiegogo like going? Like the orders and stuff. Is it coming together pretty quickly?
Oh, like it's all done now. It's all
Yeah.
done. He's just got to fulfill them.
Yeah.
He's got
Okay.
to he's got to finish doing them. He's been paid for it already, so he's got to hurry up and get them out there. I think
Okay.
he's pretty close to being done them all, but yeah, we ordered we had to order quite a bit because I was surprised how many people would be willing to pay a pretty penny for these masks, but man, they all sold out.
I
Every
That's
would.
single
crazy.
mask.
I
Yeah.
would honestly, yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a huge Texas fan, like huge and I would love. I was telling John earlier, I was like, the masks are just like amazing to me. Like it, that's what draws me to a film. There's a fan film, My Special Boy. It's a
Yeah.
Friday third.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know the director actually.
yeah, and I'm actually working with him on some of his tapes, and
Oh, cool.
and man, I'm just like, you changed up that chevron symbol, and that's something that is so hard to do. And with you guys being able to just change up the mask, you know changing up the mask is not always as easy as what you think it would be. Like, as you have this iconic look of Leatherface, whether it be the old ones or the newer ones or in the ones in
Yeah.
the middle. So you have to come up with your own idea to where it's original to you, but it's also scary.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and that's I commend you guys for doing that, because it's so cool. Like, I would love to be able to create something like that, and but I'm a mask collector, so yeah, I would buy one of those 100%.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool, man. And so you
It's
guys
too bad
filmed
our
the whole
Indiegogo was done.
so you guys filmed the whole thing in Texas?
Yeah. Everything was shot in Texas.
So were all the actors from Texas as well?
Not all of them, actually. Our Leatherface actor himself was from about an hour from where I live here in
Oh wow,
Canada. And same with the actress that played Allison, who recently just won an award for her performance.
crazy.
She's actually from the same town that I live in. So yeah, we all went down to Texas together. And you know, at a certain time, I thought, well, we're probably not going to be able to afford to go to Texas. You know, early going in the whole crowdfunding process. But you know, it's amazing. You know, you say you want to shoot the movie in Texas, and the fans respond to that. And I
Right.
don't know how many messages I got from people saying, "Man, you better be shooting this thing in Texas. I'm going to put a lot of money into your Indiegogo as long as you shoot in Texas." So
Really?
I mean, we probably took in a good 10 grand just from
Wow.
just given the fact that we would shoot in Texas, and so it actually made more financial sense for us to shoot in Texas than
Yeah.
shooting in Canada because all we really had to pay for was the flight over. We had free accommodations there, so that wasn't an issue. It was always it was the flight that was going to be the most expensive thing. We maybe spent $3,000 on plane tickets, and that was it. But we probably took in 10 grand,
Yeah.
so it was definitely financially beneficial to film the movie in Texas because of that. But you know, uh, the one disadvantage I have with shooting in Texas is I don't know Texas. I don't know the area, and I was, you know, unfamiliar with the locations. I had only seen pictures of the locations, and one of the locations we hadn't got confirmation on right away, so we had to wait on confirmation. Like we're talking 2 or 3 days before shooting,
Mhm.
and thank God it went through. But yeah, it was tricky. It was tricky because I couldn't plan out the how to shoot on the locations ahead of time. And you know, you
Right.
get down there a few days before, and it's like, huh, what are we gonna do here? Because this is nothing like what we have in the script, you know.
So
So we had to make a lot of changes.
how was like scouting for them? Did you just have to look at stuff online,
I
or
was
did
looking
you?
at stuff online, and I had photographers down there, down in Texas, actually taking, you know, going on road trips, and you know, I'm telling them what kind of stuff I'm looking for, and they would take pictures for me. So yeah, that was what I had to rely on was photographs, and
Wow.
you know, unfortunately, photographs don't give you the whole picture, you know. So but we made it work. We made it work because definitely the locations were quite a bit different than what I saw in my script. But
Right.
you know, we planned it out very, very well. I consulted with the director of photography a lot, and you know, looking at the script and saying we're going to have to change this to this, you know, to suit our needs. And you know, obviously, if anybody reads the script, they'll see that the script is quite a bit different than what you see on screen.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
do you
At least you
do
were
you
in Texas though.
Yeah, we were in Texas.
yeah.
The fans wouldn't let us shoot in Canada.
Right, right.
That's plain and simple. If we would have shot in Canada, we would have had a lot of angry fans.
Yeah.
What the hell? You said you were shooting in Texas. I gave you my money, damn it. I know. But we did. We did. I
What
wasn't gonna let the fans down.
Yeah,
do
right.
do you have that script? Like, is it available for purchase too? That original one?
um I mean, we don't have Indiegogo up anymore. I mean, I probably could do like I could probably let people buy a digital download for like $10 of it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I could probably do that through PayPal or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
that's probably the only way I would do it. I don't want to ship anymore. Shipping from Canada
Yeah.
Yeah,
sucks.
it's
I had
tough.
to ship a lot from Canada, not nowhere near as much from the U.S., but I still shipped a lot from Canada, and it was expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was not fun.
Whenever we
Oh,
talked, I thought I was just gonna make these and send them to you and all that stuff, and then I
Yeah, I was like,
understand.
no, don't send them here.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah,
now, 100%.
yeah.
Speaking of shipping, I do have your tape. It's literally sitting on my steps in the
Oh, that's
package.
right. I forgot you were going to send me a tape. Thanks,
It's
by the way.
Yeah,
You didn't
dude. I
have to
mean,
do that.
I didn't realize you didn't get one. Like I was just making them and like banging them out and stuff, you know. And then I'm like, yeah, I was watching you on YouTube, and I was like, What? You didn't get one?" And so I was like, "I gotta make it." Like, you can't not have one of your own film, like
It'd be cool, but it's
so.
not essential. I'll be like, I've never been like a big collector type of person, but it's cool to have some stuff from my own movie and represent. Got this
Yeah,
the
100%.
hoodie, I got the posters, and
If
I do
Right.
have a Blu-ray. I do have a Blu-ray as well, but I don't have a Blu-ray player, so I'm never gonna. It's just there for uh for collecting, I guess, basically. But
Right.
I've never been much of a collector myself.
really, what? So
Never been much. Yeah.
you play music though, right?
I do play music. That's
What,
right.
you play guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere. I was looking you up like a while back whenever we started doing this, and I seen a picture of you. I don't know how true it is. It's you with long hair just standing there with a guitar, and I'm like, oh, cool, he's a rocker. So, what do you play? You like metal?
I like a little of everything. I
Yeah,
could probably surprise I wrote a song that's half metal and half like old school hillbilly country music. It's
really.
like
Cool.
the verses are like Johnny Cash. It's probably the closest example I can give you, with a mix of bluegrass, a little bit of bluegrass in there, and then the chorus is hit and it's like bang, it's iced earth, it's something like that, right?
So it's kind of
That's
like
And
cool.
what they call, like, I think it's rockabilly. Is that what that's called? Where it's a mix of those. Have you ever listened to that rockabilly?
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I could see that. I could see a little bit of rockabilly in the verses.
Dude, I
And
would.
then I have a guitar solo section where I've got a real twangy guitar solo over a metal riff, metal
Yeah.
rhythm riff. All the other instruments are playing a metal riff, and the guitar solo is just a twang guitar. And then I do my best Nigel Tufnell impression
Yeah.
after that with a guitar solo that sounds like Spinal Tap over a country riff. So
That's cool.
you get a kick out of it. I don't know
Is
if it's really that good of a song, but
is it on YouTube?
I can't remember if I put it on. It's on like SoundCloud or something like that, but
Well,
I can't remember if it's on YouTube or not. I
for
might I
for
might have to upload it.
I was
I
about
was
to
gonna
say
shoot a music video for it.
you should 100%. That'd
I
be
should.
awesome.
Then
But
put it on YouTube. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, for people like me, like, I don't know how to use anything but YouTube and Spotify. I barely know how to use Zoom, and I know how
You
to
got me
use.
beat on there. I still don't know how to use Zoom. I mean, I don't have my own Zoom account, but every time I do these interviews, it's on Zoom. So
Yeah.
I've kind
Yeah,
of gotten used to getting into Zoom, but I don't have Zoom myself.
I
So
always have such anxiety coming down to do one of these podcasts, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like, I'm not gonna be able to sign in on this. But so for people like me who don't know how to use anything, you should definitely put it on YouTube because YouTube's super simple. We just go in there and look it up.
I know.
Yeah, it's like Google
But
Exactly.
basically, but for videos.
yes,
Yeah.
So you got a new project in the works, correct?
Yeah, yeah, excited. Very, very excited. Hope people like it. It's I'm working my ass off on it, that's for sure. And it's not a fan film though, so
Right.
you never know how that's gonna go. Making a fan film was easier in some respects because there was already a fan base for it, so
Yeah, and you have something to go off of too a little bit.
exactly, so
Yeah.
getting followers and all that stuff wasn't hard to do with that, but now I'm doing an original project, so it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I hope it goes well. I'm trying to get somebody kind of big to be in the movie, so I won't say who at this point. I won't
okay,
say names until they've signed the documents.
Right, right.
okay.
But we're trying. We're trying to hook something up with some bigger actors, and hopefully that'll help us more with funding. And we're probably going to try to start crowdfunding around mid-May.
Nice. Are you
So
still in the writing process, or is that all finished?
I mean, touch-ups. Like I'm always tweaking things in the script, and I'm going to be shooting this one in Canada, so at least shooting here I can find my locations in advance, scout them, take videos and everything, and plan the script around those locations as
yeah,
I scout them, and have more time and all that to fine tune the script towards the locations.
Mm.
Whereas we didn't have that in the Sawyer Massacre. All of a sudden, we're day of shooting, and I have to tell the actors this is what we're doing instead of this, and they're like, oh, huh?
Yeah.
How's that gonna work then? Like, just trust me, it's gonna work, and it did work. But
Right. Well,
but it was
you're not alone
really
on that either. We've talked to
yeah,
some people, some other filmmakers. We talk to A&P Films a lot, and a lot of their projects, same thing happens. They get
yeah.
there, and it's something completely different.
Yeah.
But it's the I think that's a true test of a filmmaker, though, of an indie filmmaker.
Yeah.
Anyways, is that ability to adapt to what you have. It's I've seen many people in similar situations in the film industry that are like, I don't know what to do. We're gonna have to postpone a month or so to figure out what to do. I'm like, well, that's gonna cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You've got the actors down now. They're already flown down from it or whatever, right? And
Right. Right.
you're gonna postpone a month now. We gotta shoot this thing because we don't have money to postpone a month. Flights were booked. I already spent the money to come down to Texas. We're shooting. I'm gonna find a way. So, indie, the more you do it, I guess the easier that becomes. But man, I remember some of the early goings in some of my earlier projects where it's like, what are we gonna do in this situation? And you have to learn to think on your feet. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I got fairly good at that.
I think there's like a something with that. I was talking about this with some with A&P Films as well. There's something about that pressure too that kind of sparks a different kind of creativity as well. When you
Oh yeah.
when you maybe have to do a shortcut or
Hmm.
something along the lines that kind of you kind of have to take this different route. And sometimes I think that pressure kind of, you know, makes a pearl. You know what I mean? Like all of a
Yeah,
sudden
I
you
hear
have
you.
something that comes out of that, and it's almost better, or it's something maybe different but unique.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you. It's some, and yeah, you're right. Sometimes it does end up better. Not all the times.
Right.
I think there's definitely certain aspects of the Sawyer Massacre that we did that made the movie better than it was. But there's also a few things that there was no way around certain things, and they did make it not as good as what the script would be. But it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get lucky. I still think the girl's head getting crushed in the table vise was great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love
absolutely.
that scene. No gore, but
Right.
it's great. The oven would probably could have looked great too, but
Which is fine because I
I'm
mean
not
the original movie, it wasn't like it was full of gore anyway. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Kind of
Yeah.
follows those same type of guidelines. So
Yeah.
And I've said this since the movie came out. I personally think that the best kills we had in the film all had no gore in them. Like
right,
that one.
even that one of those first ones in the beginning where you put the girl goes up on the meat hook, and it's not
Yeah.
like this gruesome, kind of lets your imagination kind of take hold, and you hear a lot of stuff when it's happening, but you don't necessarily see it. And
Yeah, we had a little bit of blood in that, but not much.
yeah,
But
exactly.
in the meat hook, but you know, uh, yeah, I don't think you necessarily need a lot of blood all the time. And I know
Right.
that some people will be like, "Oh, where's all the blood?" And that's fine. You're not going to please everybody. Uh,
Right.
but it's funny though because I do get messages from a lot of people saying that, "Oh, it's really really gory film." I'm like, is it? I don't think it is. It doesn't look very gory to me.
Right.
Uh, but some people think it's really gory, and then there's others that are like, "Where's all the gore?" We're disappointed because there's no gore. So I mean, you can't please everybody.
Right.
That's just the way you gotta. Yeah, I could put tons of gore in this movie, and then all the people saying, "Well, that's not true." The people will say that's not true to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they would be right. And
Right.
then I can put no gore in this movie, and then all the gore hounds would say, "This is supposed to be a gory movie. This is supposed to be
Bloodbath.
a bloodbath." Exactly. What kind of horror movie doesn't have gore?
Right.
What
So you
what's
can't please everybody.
I'm like choking over here. Um about to die. Um what's the girl who won the award
uh,
for
Nika Nika Lowe is the girl's name that
yeah,
won the award.
she was the main one, right? At
Yeah,
the
Allison. Yeah.
yeah, dude, she absolutely killed it. Like watching her was literally like watching the original Texas, man. Just like the fear she had and the screams and everything. She was perfect. She did.
Imagine what she could have done if we actually had more time to shoot and it wasn't like 1 or 2 takes each. I always keep thinking about that,
Yeah.
because I mean, I kind of wish we had more time. It's just,
Is she up there with you? Is that what you said? She's in
yeah,
Canada.
she's in Canada with me.
Okay.
She was in Europe, but somebody told me recently that she's back in Canada. So, I think she's back in Canada now. So there you go.
Is that someone
What?
you would work with again?
Oh, definitely. I'm actually kind of mad that I didn't offer a role to her in my next film because I
No.
figured she was in Europe, and now I know that she's back in Kelowna. I'm like, oh man, I would have totally offered her a role in the movie.
Right.
Maybe I can still get her a small role, but I don't want her to give her a small role.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. After she just won an award.
yeah,
What?
that'd be a slap in the face,
Right.
But if hey, if she reaches out, says Steve, I'll take any role you got, then
Right.
you know,
What?
she's
What award did she win?
best actress,
Yeah.
best actress at can't remember what's the name of the festival.
That's what I was confused.
Film basement screen awards or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a relatively new festival, from what I understand. But yeah, she won the award at that festival, and congrats to her.
Definitely. I mean,
And did you send a lot to a lot of festivals, or did you kind of do that circuit? Or
A fair amount. I didn't send to too many because we already released the film,
right.
and the fact is, a lot of festivals won't even take your submission if it's already released online somewhere.
Mhm.
So and most of them are actually still pretty frowned upon. So I don't expect to get into too many festivals because of that. We've gotten into a couple, but maybe we'll get into 1 or 2 more. Maybe we'll win another award. Who knows? I'm not counting on it though. Once the film's released, they want it to be like it's not released to the public at all. Like
Right.
this is their first time seeing it, So
yeah.
we'll see though. You never know. But
Do we have a name for the new film? I don't think
the
you
new
told
film's
us.
called Unseen.
Let's see.
Unseen. Yeah.
And
Is
is it what type of, is it like paranormal? Is it
No, it's like a psychological thriller kind
Ooh.
of slasher-ish.
Nice.
It's I would say it's a mix between the original Halloween and the original Black Christmas is the
Okay.
best sort of
Wow.
comparison.
Are
It's
you
a
going? Are you going like that style of filming? Are you going
oh
like
yeah.
new age
For the
filming?
most part.
Yeah.
No, I mean, a little bit of both. I'm very influenced by that sort of John Carpenter style of filming that he had back in those days.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to feel some of that. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's POV from the killer's perspective, and but there's going to be a lot of my own style in there as well. But I keep getting told that I have a very Hitchcockian type of style the way I film. So maybe I do. Maybe I do. My shot choices. You probably won't see that too much in the Sawyer Massacre, though. You won't see a lot of Hitchcock influence. I think I'm not really that influenced by Hitchcock, to be honest. But people say that
Mhm.
I have a real Hitchcockian type of way that I film. But
Interesting.
the thing, I don't think that would show in the Sawyer Massacre so much because we didn't get to shoot stuff the way I wanted to. It's just a fact,
Just so quick.
Yeah.
Just so
I-
quick.
I had to almost throw out my shot list. So I had a really, really thorough shot list for the Sawyer Massacre, but nothing was matching.
Right.
Nothing, location wise, nothing was really matching. So, I really maybe got like 4 or 5 shots that were actually on my shot list,
Yeah.
and the rest were like, this is the best way we can do it. Let's do it this way. This is the best way we can do it. Let's do it this way. So, I really don't feel like I got a lot of my style. I mean, some of the slider shots we did are pretty similar to what I go for a lot, but that's about it. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that point of view cam is kind of John Carpenter's thing back in the day, right? Like that. I think he was one of the
Definitely.
first ones to use that, right? Like in Halloween, I think it was that brand
One
new
of the
camera.
first ones. Yeah,
that
the steady cam they were using
Yeah.
back then. It was we won't be using steady cam, I don't think, for this.
Mhm.
But yeah, and Bob Clark in Black Christmas used the
Was it? Yeah.
Steadicam quite often.
Was it Black Christmas before
Yeah,
Halloween?
it was. It was like
Yeah.
4 years before. And in
Yeah.
fact, John Carpenter was very influenced by Black Christmas. So
Mhm.
Yeah. That movie.
you'll probably
God.
see more Black Christmas in this movie than
Good.
Halloween.
Good. I hope so.
Mostly because you never see the killer in this movie.
Mm.
Okay.
Like you won't see his face at all. You'll get some silhouettes of him, and that's about it. You'll get a hand from some of his POV shots. That's really all you'll really get. A lot of shadows, and it's
I
kind
like
of like,
that. I like that.
yeah, I like that kind of stuff too. A
I
lot of
like
mystery. Who the hell
Yeah.
is this guy?
I like
It's
the whole
that kind of
mystery
movie.
aspect. Like Black Christmas is just a phenomenal movie, and it's not boring. I say this to everyone. 78 Halloween is like not my favorite. Like I just don't. I completely skip over it all the time, and
Oh,
it's
really?
yeah, man, because it just like it's so slow. It's such a slow movie to me. But Black Clap, I don't know what I keep saying. Black Christmas, um, it's just fun through from start to finish. Like it's just a good movie. John, have you seen that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and those types of movies too, with like the when you don't see the killer and stuff, like it's a cool kind of a cool way to build tension, I think.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it has its own kind of like feel, you know what I mean? And it's
Please, please tell me you're gonna do like an eyeball scene to like where you can see the eyeball.
You know what? I thought of it, but the problem I'm gonna run into with that is everybody's gonna think I'm copying Black Christmas with that.
right.
So
Maybe
I
just
just don't know. There's one scene I'm thinking of showing both of his eyes through like blinds.
yeah.
We actually we made a short a few years ago for it actually, and we did that, and it looked pretty creepy. However, when you watch the short, it was color graded very dark, so you couldn't actually see the eyes through the blinds. But it is there if you up the exposure, you'll see the eyes, and it's actually creepier when you can see the eyes.
That's cool.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah.
do a lot of like do you shoot at night a lot? Like is there going to be a lot of night shots in this? I
Yeah, there
find
will
it
be a lot of night shots. There will be a fair amount of this movie will be shot at night.
and you don't color grade it that way. It's like you're actually shooting at night.
I have color graded it that way for our teaser trailer that we just shot.
Hmm.
There will be a couple of day for night shots. There will be a couple. Just because we're on a schedule and we're waiting for the sun to go down,
Right.
and it was taking too damn long, and we had an actress that had to get going. So we did a couple that were day for night, but I typically would rather shoot at night. But there's more lighting with that though too. So
No, absolutely. I was actually going to get into that because I'm a kind of a learning filmmaker right now, and
yeah.
I was always just interested with. I'm doing a film
We,
right now, and it's a lot of day for night.
we
Um,
did a bit. We did a bit in the Sawyer Massacre, day for night.
yeah, really,
I didn't. Again, you don't really want to, but you
right,
don't got a lot of choice, and
yeah,
then sometimes we did a little bit of night for day. I think even because
really,
again it was scheduled as well. It doesn't show that much because we're shooting inside, and
mm,
there weren't a ton of windows in that place.
right,
So if you're shooting it in a certain place and it's lit a certain way, then you wouldn't be able to tell as much, but you can tell in a little bit in a couple scenes. You
yeah,
can't color grade that stuff perfectly,
right.
but
No, definitely not. Was it like because in my new film, it's like we did day for night because I just don't have. I don't think I have the right equipment to shoot at night. And I wanted to ask you that question if you do shoot at night. And I mean, are you just blasting light on everything to kind of make sure
uh,
it's not coming out grainy and like I'm not
it
exactly
always
sure.
depends. It depends on what you're going for. I mean, I'm not a cinematographer either,
Right.
so it's best to ask our DP. But the one scene that we shot that was really at night, and it was outside, was that scene where Allison was running in the woods away from Leatherface and hiding
Yeah.
in. So that was really shot at night, and he just had one large light, and he cast it a certain way so that it looked like moonlight,
Right.
and it worked pretty well, I think. It also helped that we were shooting that whole scene where we were staying, where we're all being put up in Bastrop, Texas. So that also helped too. So
Mhm.
we had, home quarters right by there, and I think he actually placed it for the most part up on the lady's deck, so
Gotcha.
it could blast down on the
Down.
trees, and yeah,
Right.
so you get that impression of moonlight. So it worked out pretty well for that. You always want to, have your lighting, so that it does have that perspective of where is that light coming from?
Right.
Is it the moonlight? Is it a street lamp? If it's supposed to be a street lamp, but you don't have a street lamp, and you have to imply that, you want to make sure it's not too harsh, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I think sometimes I've seen some cinematographers overlight in night scenes,
Yeah.
as far as mostly overlighting their characters too much. It doesn't make sense for a character to be so exposed and then
Exactly.
the rest of everything around them is black.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that
I
in
think,
like in scenes in the forest where I get it because
yeah,
you kind of have to have a lot of light to shoot there, I guess, at night, but sometimes it just doesn't have that real
yeah,
feel to it, you know. And the same thing if you're
yeah,
shooting like down and up doesn't really make any sense either. And then you're losing a bunch of light anyway. It's not bouncing off anything. But I always just
yeah.
wondered that because I was like, at this point, like I'm just like starting out, but like to shoot at night is like a crazy thing to me. I have no idea how to pull it off.
Oh, I've done a lot. You got to be creative,
Yeah,
and sometimes, depending on what the type of scenes are, but you can, sometimes street lamps actually do work pretty good. They
right.
actually
Yeah.
light you better than you think they're going to, and you don't end up needing as much light as you think you do.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so depends
Cool.
on what you're going for.
That's
Yeah,
that's
true.
that's that's interesting. It's good knowledge.
There you go.
Yeah,
Uh,
I always wanted to know that and I haven't, mustered up the
But
courage
again,
to
I'm
ask
not a
anybody.
I'm not a cinematographer. I'm just a
Right, right,
director.
right.
I
It's
I always
just
focus on the kind of movement I want,
right.
and the actor. I focus on the movement, the camera, what the camera's doing, and the actors, and that's sort of my main job. And then I look at I trust the DP as far as the lighting
Yeah.
and stuff goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
what kind
difficult
of
to
uh,
do.
what kind of
Oh
crew
yeah.
do you have? Are they the same one from Sawyer Massacre going to help you with this one too?
No, they're not
Oh,
coming from. They're not going
Texas.
to come from Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. Yeah, I don't think we'll have any crew that helped on Sawyer Massacre. Yeah.
Now, will it be like
Yeah.
based like well does the film actually have like a based in Canada? Like will you know it's based in Canada or is it just where you're shooting and the
It's just where we're
setting
shooting.
doesn't
We're not
really
going to
matter?
really. Setting doesn't really
Right.
matter. The time period doesn't really matter.
Mm,
I don't have to worry about setting it at a certain time period. I think actually early on, the DP I'm working with was even thinking, why don't you set this movie in the 80s? I'm like, well, that finding everything that's 80s is going to be a bit tricky, so
yeah,
that'll
definitely.
cost a lot of money.
Hmm.
So how about we just not worry about that because it's not really relevant to the story anyways. So
yeah.
Yeah.
just, yeah, unless it actually is relevant to your story, don't worry about your time period.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's what's cool about Sawyer Massacre too was the accents, like you know it's in
Yeah, it's
you know it's in Texas, which is cool. But if you
it's
get all
funny
those
that
people and go up to Canada, then you're kind of
yeah.
like, oh, where are we here?
What's funny about the accents is that I found that a lot of the actors that we worked with from Texas didn't have as much of an accent as the actors that were from other places.
Really?
And that was because they were trying to do old school Texas accents, like Nika from Canada, from here in Canada. She worked on a Texas accent that you would have heard back then. But I think a lot of Texas now doesn't really have strong accents.
no, no,
Most of the people I talked to didn't really have accents,
Wow.
and we
that's the
had
way it is.
Alicia was from Louisiana, and people from Louisiana have thick
Heck,
accents,
yeah.
so she had to actually tone down her accent. But yeah, it was subtle. But yeah, like our lead actor who played Jimmy, I had to get him to do more accent. It was hard for him to do an accent, but he was right there he's from Houston,
Yeah.
and he's living in Austin now, but he's from Texas, but doesn't have
Yeah,
an
Interesting.
accent at all.
a lot of
I
people
would
like
think
my
where I'm
wife.
from.
My wife and I get upset at like movies. We're like even in Texas and stuff that's based down south. We're just like we don't fucking sound like this. Like this is not like this is not how we speak, you
You
know?
sound a little bit like that.
No, no, it's not
I can detect a bit of an accent from it, but it's not much.
it's
Where are you
not
from, sir?
I'm Tennessee, but
Tennessee. Okay.
but like the way that they like you
Oh, they
watch the
go over and like
Over,
Yeah,
yeah, they overdo.
like they're from the swamp or something.
like
Like
and you really like and I agree with you. The people from Louisiana, it's hard to hide their accent. But
Yeah,
like Texas really isn't even that bad either, you know. We
yeah,
have family that lives out in Texas. I'm just like and I always laugh at like Texas movies. I'm like, because people do not sound like that down there. And
yeah.
most of them don't really act like that either, you know. Like
Yeah.
you have a few of them, you have your like crowd that wears the cowboy hats, but most everybody is just kind of like us, you know, they wear normal clothes,
Yeah.
but they, but you think of Texas, you always think about these cowboy hats and shit, you know, and it's, like, it's not the way it is.
they screw up movies in Maine all the time, like any Stephen King thing. It's there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we know we don't accents are all over the place. And like some of them are really
Hard
thick
to
if you're
do.
down east, but like
Yeah.
some of them in there, like when you say like everybody thinks where he's from, it's Bangor. It's not Bangor. Like it's not said that way. Like everybody's like, oh, Bangor, Maine. It's like not. There's certain accents depending on where you are in Maine that sound a little bit different. Like I'm from Central Maine, so it's like you kind of lose the R a little bit, obviously. So
Mhm.
it's like Bangor, and then like if you go down east, it's like Banga, but
Oh
they
really?
everybody gets the R because they don't, you know what I mean? They don't
Yeah.
realize that they think it's Bangor. They think the actual name of the town is Bangor, but it's
Huh.
Bangor.
Okay.
And it's Bangor and Banga, but they don't like it's
Cool.
never Bangor, but everybody calls it that. It's super weird, man. And they do it in movies and they they did it in Pet Cemetery, they do it all over the place. It's really weird.
Ah, well, there you go. I had no idea.
Well,
Yeah, it's
so
hard to do.
tell us one more real quick before because we got to wrap it up. I'm
Yeah.
getting
No worries.
tired. I gotta go hang out with my wife for a little bit. Um, you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, I do.
What do you tell us everything? I know you do movie reviews and stuff like that. Tell us
I don't
about
know if you
that.
call them reviews, discussions. I like to call them discussions. I think a
Yeah,
movie reviewer has to be more thorough, has to look at things very objectively and subjectively, and has to be willing to review anything. So I'll never consider myself a reviewer because I just like to talk about movies. I really
yeah,
do. I just want to talk and discuss it in a live setting with the people viewing in the chat. So I just that's primarily what I do on my YouTube channel, other than post the odd video here and there. But I like doing it live because I like just having discussions with people,
yeah.
and I never feel right when I try to pre-record something and
It is
post it out.
odd.
Yeah,
It doesn't work for me.
it
Yeah,
al- it
it's an
al-
I've
odd
tried
thing.
it I've tried it 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, no,
it
I will.
always makes it a little bit easier whenever you have like something to bounce off of, you know, like
Yeah,
with the people like commenting and saying something. It makes it easier. So
yeah.
I
Definitely.
get that,
Keeps the
and
conversation going too.
it definitely does. Yeah, that's why we
You
like
But
doing this.
unless you got nobody in the chat, then you're just talking yourself.
yeah,
But
then it feels the
I've
same
never,
way.
I haven't been that unlucky yet. I've always at least had a few people, and sometimes I've had a lot of people, and I don't even get to read everybody's comments. But but yeah, I mean, I just really enjoy that. I just kind of do it for fun because yeah, I don't know if my content's any good, but people tune in, so
Yeah, hell yeah.
it can't be terrible, I guess. It's just me yapping away and talking pretty much. So,
Hmm.
but I have fun doing it.
Cool, man. That's
Well, good.
awesome.
Well, John, do you have anything else to add or say?
No, I think we're good, man. Steve, I appreciate you joining us, man. We know
I
you got to get
appreciate
out
coming
of
on.
here, and yeah, and when this new movie gets going, man, feel free. We'll hit you up if you want to come on, explain a little bit more about it. If you got an Indiegogo campaign going, when that starts up, let us know, and we'll promote that as
Sure.
well. And super excited. Loved the Sawyer Massacre, dude. Keep doing your thing, and we'll be in touch, dude.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, man.
man. You have a good one.
Yeah. You too. Good night, guys.
See you later,
See you,
everybody.
man.